Hello, welcome to Productions MJC. This caught my eye this week and I just have to comment because I want you to understand what we're talking about. Governments do lie, they do put out disinformation, they put out propaganda. That is why flat earthers do not believe in governments. They don't believe what they're being told. Why should they? Because governments do lie. They lie all the time. So look at this. The United States government, caught in a lie, has had to change the signage at their national park, Glacier National Park, in the state of Montana. They claim that because there were larger than average snowfalls, the glaciers didn't disappear like the computer models had predicted. Well, I'll tell you, I've been to Montana. It snows a lot there all the time. In fact, in the 70s, I was at a 4th of July celebration, and it snowed on it. My subscribers know me mostly as a flat earth debunker. And yes, I do that, but I have some other videos out about the global warming, scare, hoax, propaganda show, whatever you want to call it. Now, don't get me wrong. Climate change is real. Man-influenced climate change, that's a different story. But let's get back to the flat earth believers. Why don't they trust government? Because of what I just showed you. So we have to work with the flat earth believers and help them understand that even though government does lie, there are certain things that just can't be lied about on either side. In my latest video that I put out, I helped you understand about geometry and how it's pretty set and there's just no way to eventually continue the lie. You'll get caught, just like the government got caught in its last endeavor to say the glaciers were going to disappear by 2020. I'm going to help you understand how the lie is continuing about these glaciers and their disappearance and their creation and everything else. So let's get into that. It's quite a mind twist. Thanks to a gentleman, a wonderful gentleman, who documented the lie, Roger Roots, we have it set in stone. We can see the lie, we can corroborate how the government lied, how they're continuing to lie, and what's gone on. It was the Obama administration put out these fake things around 2009 to say the glaciers were going to disappear by 2020. Goodbye to the glaciers, my eye. Let's take a closer look at this thing. Bold as bold can be. Yes, all the glaciers are going to be gone by 2020. Well, guess what, people? It's 2020. Now, in the spring of 2019, they figured this out, and they got rid of these things, but I digress. Let's get back to this. Let's look at this lie. Millions of dollars was spent on this propaganda, this diorama that you could push the buttons and the lights would change colors and the glaciers would disappear. Let's take a closer look at the Goodbye to Glaciers diorama. Well, there's another lie here, a subtle one that I've highlighted, 1850. That's when they say the peak of the glaciers occurred. And I'll show you why that's a lie. Let's focus in on the wording on this thing. Let's take a closer look and see what it says. Suffice it to say, they claim that the Little Ice Age ended around 1850, so that's when they think it peaked, but they have one thing they forgot about, and it's something pretty significant. Take a look at this beauty. This is Mount Tambora. Now, Mount Tambora blew its top in the spring of 1815, and the following year was called the year without a summer because the temperature was so cold, so wet. There was a lot of stuff going on that happened because of Mount Tambora. Let's look at, of all things, a CNN article about the year without a summer, written last year. According to the article, the temperature dropped between 1 and 3 degrees Celsius. That's 7-8 degrees Fahrenheit. There's even speculation that the reason Napoleon was defeated was because of these weather conditions. Research shows that the temperature in Roman times was approximately 14 to 16 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than it is now. So what cooled off the Earth from at that time? What happened around then? Let's take a look. The incredible explosion of Mount Somalis in 1257 started this cooling trend. Before that, during Roman times, it was 14 to 16 degrees Fahrenheit warmer. So why 1850 do we see, well, that's about when it ended? It seems that a series of explorations after 1850 helped to shape the understanding of the area that later became the Glacier National Park. Lewis and Clark in 1806 came within 50 miles, but that is the closest they ever got. And it's too bad they never got any closer, because probably the year without a summer contributed a lot to the area and might have doubled the size of the glaciers. We don't know. The government acts like they're an authority on this, but guess what? They're not, because they say all the glaciers will be gone by 2020, and of course it's 2020 and they're not all gone, are they? They actually grew a little bit between 2018 and 2020. So you have to think to yourself, why are these glaciers retreating? And they are retreating, and they're disappearing. But why? Well, think about it. There are climatologists, there are hydrologists that say that the snowfall there isn't tens of thousands of years old. It's only about 700, 800, 900 years old, which correlates to the 1257 eruption that probably started this whole thing and was the birth of the glaciers to begin with. Because if it's 14 to 16 degrees Fahrenheit warmer back then than it is now, how would these glaciers form? Is it any wonder that flat earthers don't believe the government when they have proof in writing that they're lying to them? Oh, and it gets worse. Let's look at this. Since Mother Nature wasn't cooperating with what the government said was going to happen, somebody had to do something, because these babies aren't disappearing like they say they're going to. Darn pesky Mother Nature. Whoa, what is her problem? Why doesn't she just listen to the government and do what they say? Climate change is real, but man-influenced climate change is a hoax. So they have to change this to say that, they're going to disappear eventually, but it just depends on how we act, how that's going to happen. That is such a crock. They were going to disappear, and then Mother Nature said, nope, not really, not now, maybe some other time. It's all nature. Man can't influence, not by laws that they pass, not by proclamations, not by creating these stupid dioramas. Nothing is going to make Mother Nature do what you want it to do. It's going to do whatever it wants to do. So they did a bunch of magic editing on the dioramas to now say, well, there's this and there's that, and it may last, it may not. They changed the one up by the window, they changed the main one, they changed everything because they have to change it to fit reality. And the reality is, they're not disappearing. And now we have to leave it up to future generations to try to figure out when it's really going to happen. Because yeah, it'll happen in the future. There wasn't any glaciers there before 1200. The Earth was 14 to 16 degrees warmer than it is now. And so there were no glaciers. Then with that 1257 eruption, here come snowfall. And then you get everything up until Mount Tambora. Boom, snow after snow after snow, and of course it's going to accumulate. Did glacial activity carve those mountains? Yes, it did. But the snow that's accumulated there didn't start accumulating before the 1257 eruption. Now, that's not to say that those mountains weren't carved by glacial activity tens or 20,000 years ago. So what? The snow that's accumulated now that we call glaciers by climatologists and hydrologists' research didn't start accumulating until about 800-900 years ago. So I truly can sympathize with the flat earther that says, hey, everything government tells you is a lie. Well, not everything, but guess what? A lot of it, and it'll be up to future generations to try to figure out which were the lies and which weren't. History is being changed constantly. You think this is the only instance of government changing history? Well, it's not just government. I'll tell you, I have another video that I did a few years ago that talks about how tectonic and coelacanth will be changed. I predicted that they would have to change the dates of Tiktaalik and coelacanth, and I've had it argued, hey, they aren't related, it doesn't matter. Well, if it didn't matter, then why would they change the date? In that video, I cataloged that coelacanth was dated between 325 and 350 million years ago, and Tiktaalik was dated at 400 million years ago. I accurately predicted that they would swap the dates between the two fossils, and guess what they have? In a 2016 article, the Smithsonian dated coelacanth at 325. And yet, in an article written just a few months ago, guess what? Coelacanth is 400 and Tiktaalik is 325. Amazing. No, not really amazing if somebody like me can predict accurately that they will fudge the numbers. So don't be too hard on the flat earther. Yes, they are right. Government does lie. It's just not about everything, thank goodness. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe. Have a good day. This has been Productions MJC.